Have you been struggling with your One Piece game? Have you started a bunch of projects in the past just to end them after a couple of weeks? Then keep on watching this video because it will give you the answers to all of your questions you can have when it comes to create your One Piece game. This will be a longer video in which I'll refer to some of my elder videos, which will definitely help you at this point. If you want to learn more on creating a One Piece game, then make sure to grab a free copy of my PDF. Link is in the description. I will provide you a guide on what to do step by step. So lean back, take notes, or eat popcorn, I don't know. This section of steps we will talk about now is the non-development section. The development section will follow later. This section, as the name suggests, has nothing to do with Roblox Studio, but will still heavily influence the outcome at the end. There are a few things you really need to consider before starting a Roblox One Piece game. The first one is about investing actual money or Robux into your game. Look, listen first before you judge. The reason why it hurts so much for most of the people out there to quit a project for a second, third or fourth time is because they have invested into it. After seeing your project fail, although you put money into it, you of course build up this inner fear of starting a new one. You may ask, what is the solution for this then? And do not laugh if I reveal it to you. But the solution is to simply not invest Robux or real money into your project. You might find this dumb whatsoever, and I do not judge you for that. You have not done it yet. I never ever invested a penny into my Roblox projects, still made 10,000s of Robux with the potential to make even more. I was able to build up a YouTube channel earning money now without having a single penny invested. So yes, it is possible to do that, and I recommend this to anyone to do. Okay, so what exactly can you do to follow this principle? In terms of your project, this means that you have to take a look at what things you would have used the Robux for. Now, I assume that there are only a couple of things you can spend Robux on for your project. First of all, hiring developers. Secondly, a giveaway to grow your server with some conditions, of course. For example, such as inviting a certain amount of members to your Discord so that you're eligible for the giveaway. Okay? And let's try to find an alternative to these two things. Okay? The first one is a little bit difficult, but I was lucky that I had enough experience in all development fields, so I started creating everything by myself first of all, a so-called one-man army. Later on, I grew my Discord server, I found people who were willing to help me. We didn't talk about any Robux at all at the beginning, but we knew that this topic will come up later on, which is totally fine at this point. What I can recommend you to do, if you're not someone who has a talent for all development areas, is to become better in your area. Create assets of your development field for your project and post them on your project's Discord server. I made a full guide on how to market your Roblox game correctly at the beginning. It gives you the best method to grow your Discord server to a significant amount of members. Once you start growing your Discord server via that method, you will have people asking you to join your dev team. From there on, you either tell them that you can pay them later once the game is successful, or if you're lucky enough, your dev doesn't even bring up the topic right away, which does not mean that you should not pay him. Of course you will pay him. The second point is easier to handle. The question here is, why are you hosting the giveaway? Of course, to grow your server. Now, is there anything else you could give away? Of course. How about you give them testing permission to grow to your game once your project has achieved a testable state? This is literally what I have done at the beginning phase. I promised people that they become testers when they make 10 people join and stay in the server. Now, once some of their people joined, I promised those new members the same, and boom, you got your server exponentially growing. Now you could argue,
after the giveaway's over, everyone will leave.
first of all, not everyone will leave. Yes, there will be a bunch of people who will leave, but not the majority. From that perspective, you still were successful because you grew your server, even in worst case when it's a little. Secondly, if your sneak peeks look promising and your Discord server is fun to be in, then they won't leave. So keep a good relationship to your fans. Now, let's move on with the second principle of our non-development field, non-development section, which was already mentioned earlier, and it is about marketing your game correctly. What I see pretty often is that most developers have a Discord server with them and their friends in it. If you take a look at what they're posting to attract new members, it is completely wrong. If you want to know a good strategy to attract new members to your Discord, check out the video I have put up here. Since I've made a video on it, I recommend you to check it out. Since I say everything I gotta say there, come back once you've watched it. Now, the third principle I want to give you at hand was partly covered in my free PDF. Link is in the description. It is about focusing on important stuff. After hearing this, you might be like,
Yeah, I'm already doing this. What is he talking about? He doesn't even know my situation.
I'm gonna give you a practical task now. Look up the 80-20 rule on Google and read about it. Have you ever worked on something what you call important after having that rule considered? Probably not. What this rule tells you is that 80% of the results come from 20% of your actions. This also works vice versa. So 20% of your results come from 80% of your actions. This is what you and others have been doing. Instead of analyzing what the most important task is now, you started brainstorming for a name and started creating a thumbnail. Just to satisfy the feeling inside of you, just to feel like you have done something important, my man. Why are you brainstorming for a name or working on a thumbnail when you don't even have a game yet? You don't even have any shit created yet. Why are you doing that? So stop doing this. Instead do the strategy I gave you at hand in my free PDF. Link is in the description. Now, before we move on with the development related strategies, I want you to do the most important practical task of this video. Please write down how your game is going to look like. And by that, I mean write down step by step. What is the player going to see after he or she has pressed the play button on the Roblox website? Is there a start menu which allows you to play the game or edit your character? If so, how does the start menu look like? How many buttons do you have? What is the scene? How does the spawn on your main game look like? How does your character editor look like? Imagine you're a player navigating through all of these options and write down how these things would look like. This step is essential for the next part we're now going to discuss. Now, before we move on with the development related strategies, I wanted to let you know that I have created a how to make a One Piece game series where I explain to you how to create the stuff step by step. So things like a starting menu, things like a character editor, things like a health bar, stamina bar, devil fruit moves, sword moves, everything was created within that series, but it is still not finished. But I'm sure that it will definitely help you with your game. Also, this part of the video will not explain any scripting whatsoever. So if you're interested in that, then check out the series. I will just tell you what to shift your focus on and what to do whilst working on your game. Okay, the first thing I will tell you about will seem so obvious to you, but believe me, you haven't considered it that way yet. You should start dividing your game into different areas. That's the reason why I gave you that practical task earlier. By knowing how your game looks like, you can easily divide it into different sections. The three main sections most of the One Piece games have are a start menu, a character editor, and the main game. Now, if your game has no character editor and therefore no start menu, then you can wipe these two off your board. Now, do you remember the practical task I gave you? It is now time to design your game according to it. I cannot really help you at this point because I do not know how you want to design your game. I can only suggest you to watch the tutorials on my channel. I can still give you an example on how I would divide a One Piece game though. Okay? So, within a start menu, I would have a scene. So in my One Piece game creation series, I had the Roger execution scene, and I had a bunch of buttons which would either teleport you to the main game or to the character editor according to what your stats are. So if you are a new player, then you would only have the option to click on the character editor button, but if you already had a game created, then you would move on with playing the actual game. Now, inside of the character editor, you're actually able to divide the character editor into different sections as well. You first of all have the section where you can edit your hair, and then your face, and then your shirt, your pants, your accessories, and then if you want to, also your talent and your hockey. And if you have other ideas, then you can put them into it as well. This is just my way of things. Okay, and then you have to create, as I've already told you, a section for each aspect right here. And by section, I mean that you create a frame and you create a bunch of buttons which allow you to scroll through each hair, each face, each shirt, whatsoever. And then after you're done, you can just finish your character editor, and then you will be teleported to the main game. And your main game is also dividable into different aspects. What I've done back then when I've worked on Pirates Voyage was that when I started to work on the main game, I first of all created a spawn island, which was just the basic base plate at this point with a grass material on it. And then later on, I told my modelers to create an island out of it. But the first thing I focused on was the GUIs. And by GUIs, I mean the health bar, the stamina bar, and we had even a custom toolbar, a stats menu, a skills menu, a crew menu, an inventory menu. All of these things were created up front. And then what I've done back then was to link the GUIs, and especially the skills frame, so the skills GUI and the custom toolbar with our skills. So the next step was to go into the skills. Okay, so the skills section of our game, and you can even divide those main aspects, so such as the GUI, the map, and the skills, into different subsections. So skills, for example, would be the Delphoid skills, the combat skills, the Rokushiki skills, the sword skills, you know, all of these things. Okay, so I've moved on with creating the skills. And then I outsourced the maps on my modelers. Some of my modelers were working on the map at that point. And then I moved on by creating other things, which you cannot really put all together. So things like a boat system, quest system, a food system where you were able to eat food just to regenerate your health, your stamina, and all of these things. That's the way in how you can divide your main game into different sections and then start working on each section step by step and working your way up until your game is finished. And that is it. Some of you have probably expected a scripting video or tutorial video, but we have enough of these on YouTube. Many people do not consider the other aspects besides the development one, and these aspects are probably as important as the development aspects. So it is important that a bigger YouTuber gives you actual advice on it. Now, if you want to see more videos like these, then make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the bell. Do not forget to grab a free copy of my PDF, guys. Link is in the description. With that being said, see ya.